Michigan's Children proudly presents Speaking for Kids, the podcast where we explore crucial conversations impacting the lives of all Michigan children, youth, and families, especially the most vulnerable. Join us each month as we explore public policies and issues in the best interest of our kids and families. We'll bring you lawmakers and policymakers, advocates fighting for change, and the people most affected by those decisions. We'll invite you to become engaged too and show you how to take action on what matters most to you. Episodes are recorded live and shared virtually on YouTube and the audio hosting sites Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.
Welcome, everyone, to Michigan's Children's Speaking for Kids podcast. I am your host, Bianca Miles, Child Welfare Education Policy Associate. Today is a special day. We are hosting a podcast around fathers for Father's Day. We have with us here Mr. John Miles of Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative. He is from the Children's Center as well in partnership with DWIN. This is very special to me. This is my father, so I'm very excited to interview my dad today and get to know him from a more professional perspective and to also chat a little bit with you guys on his role of being a dad in my life as well. So welcome, Mr. Miles. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you for that introduction. I never expected that in my life. Uh, you know, no, I'm doing well today. And for those who might be celebrating out there, this is occurring on Juneteenth, so I hope everybody has a Juneteenth and upcoming Happy Father's Day.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Happy Juneteenth and happy Father's Day to all. So, and also as we were discussing too, Happy Men's Mental Health Month as well. So, just a little bit on who you are and how did you get into the work of advocating for dads? Just share a little bit more info about your role.
Okay. Well, outside of being your father, um, this is a path and that I've never really dreamt of as a teen. You go through teenage years, you're getting ready to graduate, and where are you going to be in the next 5 years? Well, um, based upon my parents, I had older parents. So I was born in an era where it was either working in the plant, going to the army, or working for the city. Whoever thought I would be help supporting fathers. But my travels in life sent me through Family Lines for Change, where I was a parent support partner. And in that role, just to make it briefly, helping support those parents who are raising children with behavioral health issues and trying to bring them back into somewhat of a normalcy in life. And so I became their support buddy, hey, how do I do this now that I have this challenge? How do I do this now that I have that challenge? And we're there to help and support them. So, um, being one of the few male parent support partners, I was being groomed, even though I didn't know, in regards to transitioning into um, leading the Fatherhood Initiative here in Wayne County. Um, and I have to thank Carlin Nichols in regards to that role, as she helped supported me obtaining that position. But yeah, transitioning into the coordinator for Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative, which I've been there in that capacity for a little over 10 years. Basically, helping support dads trying to increase fatherhood engagement, which we know in regards to dads are an important piece of the puzzle when you look at the family dynamics And once you can get both parents involved with their children, not only do you help support those challenges that dads meet, but also in regards to looking at forward facing to a future that's better equipped for the children.
Absolutely. That's a really wonderful journey. I know I was there for a good chunk of that.
Yes.
But it's definitely been an honor to see that growth and transformation into the role that you have today. Even knowing the impact that you have on the dads that you engage with, and even other male role models who may not even have children of their own, but really is seeking to help and uphold and uplift our children in Southeast Michigan. It's really amazing to see that. So, how have your engagement as in this role, like, what are some opportunities that you have seen that dads engaging with their children that they've actually made a point to, what I'm trying to say, change some behaviors or dynamics of how they parent to their child, maybe?
Well, you know what? Um, I would say not training or trying to educate myself for this position. Just through conversation, you learn a lot. And in some aspects, when you think that, hey, this should be common sense, this is what you should be doing, or these are the decisions that you should be making, or why you're not doing this, you find out that that is not that simple.
Mm,
I've learned in regards to about ACEs, and I learned in regards to uh, sometimes it's not that the dad doesn't want to do it; he just doesn't know. And so I found myself really being educated and educating the dads, and then trying to figure out, well, John, if you were in that situation, how would you want that information presented to you on what level?
mm,
And it's always been in regards to, present on a level where it's like, okay, I can break it down and share it with others, but also how do I utilize it? Uh, and how can I say, having children helped me in regards to that practice mode, as I was going through, okay, what would I do? Uh, how would I want my kids to be treated? If I was a kid, how would I want to be treated? You
mm.
know, uh, so yeah, it's really through actual experience, figuring out how to utilize, how to find out what the problem is, how to access the resources, and then how to present it uh, to other dads.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's often what we do here through our other constituents who handle with people with lived experience. Of course, coming from my previous role, I work with youth who is in a system of care, and that listening to them and putting them first in their perspectives and how to treat them often helps us to take a step back and really look at the whole picture, whether it's the parent or the child or the mom or the dad, and being like, how would I want my child to be treated? What are ways that I could help this family become better through just by giving them simple like, hey, consider this perspective. And you mentioned ACEs and learning about these different terminologies that
Mm.
we all go through, but we don't necessarily know. I remember when I learned about ACEs in undergrad, and I was like, this is a thing. Adverse
Yeah.
childhood experiences is a thing. And it helped to understand and shape a lot of things, and ultimately to grow into a better person, to know that, okay, I'm not defined by my experiences. And as it pertains to dads and having that involvement, what are some of like the barriers? Because I know I sometimes hear that from dads too. Is like, we often, especially young dads within my age group, they often are still in this guilt situation of like this
Mm.
issue with the mom, or they often beating themselves up or just avoidant. What are some barriers that we may see in lack of fatherhood involvement in a child's life?
Mm. Well, initially, it's just a stigma itself in regards to African American males are not being involved with, their children and being part of the family. Um, Personally, I've seen whereas there's a cycle of an increase of single parent households where the mom is basically leading the household, and our young men are being raised looking at that environment and thinking this is the way it should be. So they don't feel guilty looking at, well, I should be in a relationship. It should be two parents here. We should be sharing responsibility, positive co-parenting, whatever the case may be. You know, so you're looking at that at stage one in regards to the first barrier, removing that stigma itself. Okay. Then you got those that really just don't know. Because based upon that cycle, they never had anybody to sit down with them in a positive male role to say, these are the things you should be doing, and these are the things you should be respected for and respected to do. I've had conversation with many young dads or expecting dads, and the conversation was really, "Ooh, I can't wait till shorty get about 5 or 6 years so we can do this, we can do that." And it's like, no, you've lost not only the the time that the mom was pregnant and you should be there for her and support, but now you added on another 5 to 6 years of that child's life and you're not being there. So removing that, and now they're trying to figure out why they're having problem engaging, why the child crying, why the baby not being so quickly to be attached to the dad, because you kind of like miss out on a whole lot of time, you know. So and then now your expectancy of that child uh to act and perform and to be in the way where you had in your mind, it doesn't connect because you missed out on the opportunity. So I mean, and then as we get towards uh, older dads and as we go along, it's anything from uh, having to work, therefore you're putting in so much time trying to be a positive role model, trying to be a positive father, but you get put in so much time in regards to working that you miss some time and opportunity with your child.
Yeah.
Um, I can say like for myself, oh, I know you remember the time we were on the buses and I tried to carve out weekends to ensure that my time was there. And because personally, I felt guilty if I didn't, if I'm missing out on a weekend or something like that, or a day, or a promised outing, if I couldn't make it, I felt guilty.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want my children to go through what I did. I want them to realize that no matter what, no matter what the financial situation was, I tried. I tried to do my best. And I said I'll figure I'll hear about it when they get adults. And it's like, well, Dad, that one time we went down to our plaza, and but uh yeah, just to dad's working, trying to fulfill a commitment. Sometimes it's the relationship between the dad and the mom. If they're not together, residing in the same household, it becomes an issue. Uh, if the relationship between the two is not where it was before. It becomes an issue and a barrier in which we have to realize that relationship is in the past. Now it's the fact whatever you do as parents should be devoted into raising those kids in the right way and providing the right atmosphere and environment so their future can be better. You
Yeah.
know? So yeah, it's that, and plus we got the legal issues going on in regards to what dads go through. There, those who are incarcerated, and
Yeah.
trying to build a relationship while you're incarcerated. When you go on the reentry, you're coming back to the world, trying to create a relationship at the same time, depending on how long you're actually locked up, how much has changed for you to not try to adapt to. So there's a lot of things and the commitments that you have to keep and adhere to, you know, after you come back into the world. So uh, it's a multitude of challenges,
Yeah.
just depending on what the situation is. But when it's the fact that you want to be committed to your role as a father, you know, seeking that support from various support groups, having a support system around you to help you along the way, can help ease some of the pain.
Okay.
But you know, yeah, it's just a multitude of things that dads go through, or men
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, that is very true. Coupled with natural masculinity, as I mentioned earlier, it's Men's Mental Health Month, and I am a strong men's advocate. We won't belabor into that too much because this is speaking for kids, but this is an issue that like it's multi-layer and intersection. Because the mental capacity of the man is hardly, I won't say never, I think it's more spoken about now, but in historically, it's not. The man is expected to go to work, take care of the bills, come home, do whatever, and it's just work, 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 work without
Mm,
really having the opportunity to come and check in as we talking about that community, that support. What do you need? How would you like to spend time with your kids? Or, and that's very surface level in that way, but I do see often that a lot of moms or women who I may interact with who have not had that opportunity to know outside their limits kind of shift into that perspective of like, oh yeah, he just needs to send me money. He don't need to see these kids, or we'll have these weekends, we'll have these days here and there. And I've also heard from the other perspective too, like, oh yeah, I'll just come around when they're 5. Like,
mm,
no,
mm,
that's not
exactly.
supporting that whole being of the child, that whole being of you, even as a father, to know that you have a child and you are not really doing as much as you can. And the top of that, like it's putting more pressure on the mom additionally, which continues to perpetuate that cycle that we see today, especially amongst a lot of our Black and brown families. So it's definitely all those barriers are fairly accurate from personal experience and even experiences that I've heard throughout. And kind of expanding on that a little bit to pushing more statewide. I know you recently went to a or workshop or one day thing with the state of Michigan on the Office of Child and or Father and Paternal Engagement.
Mm.
Um, I may have jumbled on that, but what are some things that the state kind of talked about, if you could recall, or a couple, like one or two things
Mm.
that they're aiming to bring fathers together a little bit more to help
Mm.
amplify our children?
Well, I mean, you know what? It's and I hate saying it this way. It's the same concept. It's just reworked and reworded, and don't feel bad about not getting acronyms and stuff all together because sometimes I feel like I'm in alphabet soup. Um, but really the uh, what they're looking and trying to do is once again realizing the importance of having the dad in the family. You know that the dad is a piece of the puzzle. You know, uh, I really don't know how outside of financial support that dad got lost. You know, it's so crazy that I have to explain to people that when you say parent, it means mother and father. You know, really, and dads have been fighting for this, but uh, once you have a system that's been created to where it helps support single moms, you
Mhm.
know, oh, if there's not a man in the house, we can give you this, or you're available to obtain this. Um, and you create that, and then you put up a wall that separates first the entire family individually as well in front of that dad to where it's like, you know what? If I do need you, I can't act like I need you because I'm getting support. If I don't want you, I have a reason because I'm going to get support.
Mhm.
You know, so you got those two aspects, and now you have a dad that's fighting uh, to be a positive part. You know, so yes, here we have another initiative going forward that is like, okay, it shows that when a dad is active in the child's life, that the outcome, there's a positive outcome that increases compared to that dad not being there, whether it's, you know, looking at, hey, uh, delinquency, um, pregnancy, all those things that's negatively impacting, especially our children in their teenage years, you know, are decreased because you have a better chance in regards to having supports, especially when it comes down to, you know, your mother and father, but a better support system to come back home to. You know, we have our young males uh, who constantly wear a mask on their face as they go from their home to school, and they're trying to understand what their role is in life. And they've given, if the dad is not there, they're already given the title of being the man of the house, and they're not prepared to be a man in the house because there are many responsibilities outside of just being the male, the only male that's present. But they go through this, and they have to show this as they go through from their home, through their community, to school. And if certain factors are not being applied, like this most simplest thing is, did I have a meal this morning before I left my house to go to school? And which provides nourishment, help probably increase in regards to me being a little bit more focused. All that is instantly taken away before you even, you know, get off your block, you know,
Right.
basically. You know, so being in that environment, we finally realized, and I have to say, I'm part of the system as well, even though I know. What are some of the things that can help increase the opportunity for dads to become a little bit more engaging? My role in this really is how to develop relationships with those various system partners, um, whether it's DHHS, Department of Health and Human Services, friend of the court, whatever. What is it within the system that we can come together on and have conversations about that's been hindering dads to be a part of the not only the conversation at the table, but to be an advocate as well.
Mhm.
But how can we all come together? So, in my role is more or less bringing the voice and concerns from the dads to the table, um, and getting them to realize sometimes you look at the procedures and say this is how it should be, but it's not working like that.
Right.
So, what can we create? Like I said, develop those healthy conversations, and then what can we put into place? Whether it's training, workshops, presentations, whatever it may be, to the dads to help them to once again come back to increasing engagement with the dads. So they presented several presentations, workshop presentations. It's been really helpful. But yeah, am I hoping? I don't know how long how many years in regards to focusing on looking at results and other factors, but to be a part, be considered to be a part, and being requested to provide information. I really appreciate that, and I hope it continues going forward. And they should have more young adults like yourself involved as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Us as the youth or young adults rather, under 30 population, 30 and under. I recently went to an event where they were like, "You all are the next ones," and it has been raining fairly true. Very much so amongst me and my colleagues. So definitely. And another point that I wanted to hit on that I would love for us to possibly bring back in another podcast is that adultification of teenage boys, adolescent men, who end up becoming parents at such a young age, or their dads, or the man of the house, before they are even a man themselves, and how that impacts the child at such a young age. We could talk about that another day, but that's a conversation that I'm often finding myself talking with my friends who do have young boys. A lot of my line sisters have young boys, and I'm grateful that they do keep their child's father engaged in their life because they recognize how important it is for their young boy to have that male figure. Like luckily, like we all were like, hey, you have to be here. Because we need to make sure that you know that your child, we won't have our child, our son here, and you don't know who this person is, and that this person is going to grow up without a father. That's unacceptable. And so that is continuing to perpetuate through my generation to break those cycles to where we have seen a lot of fathers not present in their lives. So I do appreciate you going over that and talking about the office of father and paternal engagement. We're gonna start going into our wrap up. So before we wrap completely up, Wayne County Fatherhood involvement. By the time we publish this podcast, the Fatherhood Forum will have passed, which is tomorrow, Saturday, June 20th.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little
Yes.
bit about it and what we should see in a recap soon.
Uh, the 14th annual Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative. I've been a part of that for 10 plus years, whether as a member or the lead coordinator. But the Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative Fatherhood Forum has been designed to help support the everyday dad, totally free. Uh, but we always try to look at what would some of those barriers that dad would be going through, like friend of the court or understanding ACEs, co-parenting. So we try to put together finding experts in those fields to provide workshops. Um, and we have had this connection with Greater Great Simple, where we've been able to be supported by them to host our event. But it's a total of 5 to 6, anywhere between 5 to 6 workshops that dads can attend to. We have a keynote speaker as well as a roundtable discussion that we usually try to have where we get answers and there some real, hard hitting personal questions in regards to being a father professionally and in your personal life. How does that compact and affect your everyday way of living and your way of thinking and the way you do your own job as well in these roundtable discussions? So it's an all day affair. Um, from 9 to no 10 to 4:30. But we're hoping that last check we had well over 100 attendees that had registered. So hey, hopefully on the next podcast we'll be able to go over how that event went. But yeah, beautiful event that I've been connected to, dedicated to the everyday dad.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I've been grateful to have supported this event as well over the last 5 years. So I'm very
Yes, you
excited
have.
to see it continue go forward further.
Mm.
So, what other ways can people get involved with Wayne County Fatherhood involvement or initiative or the Children's Center even?
Well, one, you can always go on the internet, look up the childrencenter.com. Um, and not only can you get supports in regards to your fatherhood, but and let me explain to you just one other thing. You have to realize um, the Children's Center is 90 plus years old, almost 100, and all their services have been geared to taking care of the youth. So in the last 10 years or so, fatherhood has been something new. And the challenge for me is how to get dads and moms that are accustomed to uh, bringing their children in for services, but uh, having the thought process that there is no adult services for me, whether as a mom or a dad. We've always had little programs, services that we provide for moms, but definitely nothing for dads. So this is still kind of new to them, but slowly but surely, like I said, whether it's going on the internet, looking up the childrencenter.com, or if you just happen to be in the area with your kiddo, just come and see me. I'll be in the hallway.
Awesome. Yes. So for my last and final questions to wrap us up, what is your advice in one way to further encourage dad involvement in a child's life?
Just try. Just try. You always hear us say, uh, being present is, most important, which it is. But you have to realize you're not perfect.
Mm.
There's no perfect parent, whether you've been involved with a child's life all their life or in and out, whatever the case may be. You um, follow your heart, your mind, and at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror and say, did I do the best that I can do in regards to being a dad? That's
Oh,
all.
all righty. Thank you, Mr. Miles. Let's give it up for Mr. John Miles.
Man, we need to hear
Children's
more about you next time.
I know. Next time we'll get there. Thank you all for tuning in to our podcast, Speaking for Kids podcast, hosted by the Michigan's Children, and we look forward to seeing you at our next podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
You've been listening to Speaking for Kids, the podcast for Michigan's children. Thanks for joining us. To explore these and other issues relevant to our state's children, youth, and families, and to build your advocacy muscle, go to our website at www.michiganschildren.org. You'll find links and news about past and future podcast topics under our Resource tab and action alerts under the Take Action tab. Find and like us on Facebook and Twitter. Stephen Wallace produced this podcast. Contact them with your questions and ideas for other topics. Michigan's Children is a nonprofit advocacy organization, an independent voice working to reduce disparities in child outcomes from cradle to career through policy change.